Okay, so welcome to part 3 of the $100 rod versus $500 rod series. Now, the first thing I want to do is to apologize for the lack of audio with my fishing footage. Apparently, I didn't push the external mic far enough into the GoPro for it to work. So sorry about that. But as you can see, I was able to catch a bass on a jig. And that is my first ever bass on a jig, and I'm glad I got to share that with you guys. And luckily, he came on the NRX. Now, let me show you guys what jig and trailer I was using. Okay, so what I was using was a Strike King 1/4 ounce bitsy jig, I guess was what they call it, and a net bait Paka chunk trailer. This trailer is this little craw trailer is hollow, which is unusual, but let's weigh this thing and see what kind of weight I was throwing out there. Actually, let me grab this. This will be easier. Okay, so you're looking at 15.6 grams. So with the trailer, it's a little bit over a 1/2 ounce, which is on the upper end of the lure ratings for both rods. I believe the NRX is rated, at least they say, up to 5/8, and the Crucial is actually rated up to 1/2 ounce. But both of these rods handled that weight with no problem. They did not feel overpowered by it, the jig, at all. Now, I was out there giving my feedback the whole time the microphone wasn't working, so I'm gonna have to recall what I was feeling when I was out there. Now, first of all, the lake is mostly a muddy bottom and it's very deep. The where I was fishing, it drops down into 20+ foot of water very quickly, and it's got stumps, vegetation, there's hardly any rocks, and of course sticks and twigs and whatnot that I was dragging the jig over. Now, when I was doing that, I couldn't feel any huge difference in sensitivity. Now, what I can say is every single thing that I could feel on the NRX, I could feel on the Crucial. But with the NRX, it feels just a little bit more pronounced or amplified, just a little bit more. Is it $400 worth more? I would say no. On the water, I didn't feel a $400 difference. Of course, we went over the reason why the NRX costs so much more is the components, you know, all titanium guides with SICK inserts on some of them. And I believe the process, the blank layering process, is a lot more complicated with the NRX. So, but out in the real world fishing, I didn't feel that much of a difference. Now, there were some instances where I was dragging the jig over it should have been mud. It felt like mud to the Crucial, but when I drug the jig with the NRX over the same spot, it felt like sandpaper. There's just that little grindy feeling when I was dragging the jig. So the NRX is definitely more sensitive and you can feel more, but not $400 more, at least in my book. Now, when that fish took, it struck at the jig 2 times. I could feel those 2 taps before it took it, and I was able to set the hook. Now, it felt similar to the jig hitting a stick or a rock, but it was more pronounced, it was more amplified, it shook the rod more. So I could tell that was a fish versus hitting some structure. A couple of more things that the NRX has over the Crucial. First of all, the tip is a lot livelier on the NRX. And looking at the tips, the NRX has a thinner tip. It's a lot livelier. Probably where the difference in feel and sensitivity comes from is that tip. In the NRX, the blank is just more crisp when casting. It's a lot more accurate. You can definitely feel the difference casting those jigs. That the NRX casts better. It's more accurate. You'd be able to hit your spots easier with the NRX. I believe the blank recovers just a tad bit faster on the cast than the crucial. So now that I've caught my first bass on a jig, I think I'm ready to join the Bassmaster Elites now. I just need some sponsors, so you know, if any sponsors are out there, hit me up. And of course, I'm just kidding. I am going to take these two combos out to a couple of different spots that have different bottom composition before I make my final judgment, and hopefully I'll be able to catch some more fish for you guys. Okay, thanks a lot guys, and watch out for more videos.